You know, I'm going to miss our White House press secretary, Karine Jean-Pierre, because, she was talking a big game saying how Biden was going to win. And of course, after a while, she said that the press was being unfair to her and twisting her words and stormed out of the White House briefing room. I will miss her. Are you going to miss her? Type 1 for yes, Kit, I will. She led us through the darkness. Type 2, man, no, I'm not. I'm only going to miss laughing at her. So let's go ahead and pull up this video here because it starts off with you said that Biden and his team showed arrogance of believing that he was the only one who could defeat Donald Trump. This happened yesterday, by the way.
A lot of criticism in the last couple of days directly addressed at President Biden for some of the questions that have already been asked. Running in the first place or not stepping aside faster. Some of that criticism has also been directed at his team and the advisors around him for advising him to do what he did. Can you address that criticism?
To do what he did, meaning?
Not stepping aside faster and showing what some people say, quoting folks here, an arrogance of believing he was the only one who could beat Donald Trump.
I mean, you said something at the end that I do want to just kind of reiterate and remind folks, and it was a good reminder to me, which is like, look, this is the president who has been the only person has been able to beat Donald Trump.
Debatable. Again, we got to look at election integrity. You got to look at the fact that the United States doesn't have a really clean record of, election accountability. I mean, I live in Chicago. It's not like votes disappear or anything. It's not a thing that's all too common with the machine here. But then again, hey, whatever. It's easy to say that, oh yeah, he won by the skin of his teeth.
I mean, that is true. In 2020, he was able to do that. There were more than 20 candidates who tried to beat him, and he was the one that has been able to do that. I talked about what happened in the midterms, how it was historical for a new administration in more than 60 years to have been able to have that type of outcome from the 2022 midterms when everybody said it would be a red wave. What I will also say is that he's incredibly proud of the campaign that this vice president ran. Incredibly proud of her. And when he did decide to step aside, he immediately endorsed her, and the party unified behind her. They did.
He said that. My question is just if you can or want to address the criticism that's being directed at him for this loss.
There's going to be a lot of people who are going to say a lot of things.
I think it's easy to blame him for the loss because his team formed this shield wall, this Greek phalanx, saying that, oh no, he was fine. Don't worry about him crapping his pants or stuttering or stammering or looking confused, leaving the stage or walking around like, where am I, man? Where am I? It was all out there. Not only was it his fault, it was his team's fault. They were saying that Biden was running circles, and Miguel H's emoji right there. The thing. Hold on. Better yet, here. I'll do it in full screen. Oh no. It's everyone's fault in the Democratic Party. It's the Biden administration's fault. It's everyone's fault. And they let their arrogance blind them. And also not following through with your campaign promises. That's another thing, too.
In the next couple of days and weeks and months, as I've said already, and they're going to have their opinion on this race. What I can say is that, and this is something the president says all the time, you get knocked down, you get back up.
I just want to read this from Melissa Brooke. The heart don't break our hearts. She just wants that State Department job to cut her the last check so she can go and host MSNBC BSDNC next year. Do you think she'll get that coveted job? The answer is most likely yes. But I want to pull this up here because this is where the storming out begins.
Happening at all inside though, because as Gabe mentioned, this administration message to millions of Americans that they're going to wake up day after the election, if Trump won and have their rights stripped away, that democracy would crumble. And the president said today we're going to be okay. So how do you square that?
I can't square that. I'm going to square that in a way that hopefully makes sense, because I've been answering this question multiple times. The American people made the decision. There was an election 2 nights ago. There was.
There was? Really? You don't say.
And it was a free and fair election. And we respect the election process. We do. And Americans spoke. And so the job of the president is to make sure we respect that. The job of the president is to make sure that we have a peaceful transfer of power. That is what the American people deserve. And that's what we're going to, it's not complicated. It's truly as simple as that. As simple as that. The president called, the president-elect invited him to the White House. You know why? Because that's customary. That is customary. That is what you do. If you respect what the American people decided, that's what you do. And that's what the president's going to make sure that the Trump transition has what it needs, which is being led obviously by our chief of staff here. Why? Because the president wants to lead by example. It's not complicated. It really isn't. And you know, that's important.
Example is the message to people who are fearful based on what the messaging was about the state.
Well, now you're just twisting everything around, and that's really unfair. No,
No. That's the job of the press to do so, to ask questions. Now, I know, foreign concept, the press actually doing its job. But remember, this administration talked a big game this entire year. Oh, no, Biden's got this in the bag. And it depends. Don't laugh. That was kind of funny. It was a little funny. But they kept on saying that everything was going to be A-okay, that there was not going to be a problem, that it was all going to be squared away, and that's not what happened, period. Simple as that. So much hype was brought up. So much shield wall was brought up, deflecting here and there. But see, that phalanx broke. It didn't have what it took.
oh, it is. No, Jackie, it's unfair because I've been standing here trying to be very respectful to what happened the last 2 nights ago. Being respectful. I've been standing here saying that we respect the decision that the American people made. I've been standing here
Do ya? Do ya really?
and saying that the president's going to put the American people first. I've been standing here talking about how the president's going to make sure that they get what they deserve, which is a peaceful transfer of power. I do not appreciate having my words twisted. That is, I
And she's taking the ball and going home.
have been very clear, very clear about what the president wants to do and the vice president. We want to make sure that we deliver for the American people. They deserve a peaceful transfer of power, and that's what you're going to see. Thanks, everybody.
Ah, man, you know what? Hey, let's have democracy in the chat. You think she's excited now that this job is over? Type 3 for no. She was out there speaking truth. Type 4, oh, I bet she's taking a long cigarette break after this, man. Dealing with all these questions, all the lies, because telling lies or either that, just constantly misleading people, it eventually consumes your soul. It deforms you in the inside and you become something really unrecognizable. Wonder how many 4s will be in the chat. I wonder. But let's watch that again one more time. I'm taking the ball and I'm going home.
No, that's important.
Example is the message to people who are fearful based on what the messaging was about the state.
Well, now you're just twisting everything around, and that's really unfair. No, it is. No, Jackie, it's unfair because I've been standing here trying to be very respectful to what happened the last 2 nights ago. Being respectful. I've been standing here saying that we respect the decision that the American people made. I've been standing here and saying that the president's going to put the American people first. I've been standing here talking about how the president's going to make sure that they get what they deserve, which is a peaceful transfer of power. I do not appreciate having my word.
Thank you, Great Britain, for the correction. Yes, this isn't a democracy. It's a republic, a constitutional republic.
It's twisted. That is, I have been very clear, very clear about what the president wants to do and the vice president. We want to make sure that we deliver for the American people. They deserve a peaceful transfer of power, and that's what you're going to see. Thanks, everybody.
And Kamala Harris is going to have to sign and approve it. Sign, seal, and deliver. Biggest L in history. Whoa! I'm going to miss this White House occasionally. I'm going to miss Biden's senile moments. At least we never had the situation where at least Biden walked on the stage not wearing pants. At least we never had a situation where the White House press secretary had to answer the question, hey, how come Biden spoke to the international community and wasn't wearing his pants? At least we never had a situation where Biden was walking around like at midnight somewhere in downtown DC, and the White House press secretary, had to answer questions. Hey, how come Biden was walking alone by himself in downtown DC? Oh, you know what? If there's somebody out there in the internet, you got a homework assignment. I want all the major epic fails from this White House press secretary. Put like a video compilation out there, because we will never see anything this funny. And I'm very curious to see who Trump is going to have up there as the new White House press secretary. It'll be funny. It'll be crazy. And like as always, Hardlands Media will be covering it.
It is the best $3 billion investment we make. Whether or not in Israel, the United States of America would have to invent an Israel to protect her interest in the region. The United States would have to go out and invent an Israel.
I don't mean to sound alarmist, but most of what they let you read is garbage. Most of it's designed to warp our minds until subconsciously you find you'll take the time to lick their boots free of grime and wipe their minds free of tarnish. Oil is the centerpiece, a body count of millions is the garnish. So how's it feel to know we funded every carcass? That every year our taxes pay for carpet bombing Gaza under shroud of darkness? Or that we spend enough a year to house and feed each homeless person in the streets on turning families in apartment buildings in the Middle East to bloody craters full of charred garments? And our media is silent at best. At worst, they can find it in themselves to call war crimes clashes and label children burned to ashes terrorists who played a stupid game and reaped the harvest. And every time we try to paint the truth, the news sends their slugs to suck off all the varnish and distort it into something harmless. See, the media will hang you by your feet and keep you half asleep. So yes, I'm here to set you free, but freedom won't be sweet because you'll fall 1,000 feet when I come cut you out your harness. They say those who dream the deepest fall the farthest. They also say that home is where the heart is. But if home for you is Gaza, Netanyahu's got you painted as a target. Perhaps it's not the impact, but it's what you see when falling that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the sound of all those children crying out in those apartments that will hit the hardest. Maybe all those little bodies scattered in the dirt will hit the hardest. Maybe seeing human lives assigned such little worth will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that you're paying for the darkest of atrocities committed on this earth that will hit the hardest. Maybe it's the knowledge that we give 10 million a day to oppressors who possess the kind of Medicare you'll die in debt before you see that's gonna hit the hardest. Maybe then you'll see you've always had more in common with the commoners whose slaughter we fund every day in Gaza than our senators and bosses. Maybe then you'll see our country never had a conscience. Maybe then the retroactive guilt will make you nauseous. Maybe what hits harder than the impact is the act of being conscious, of knowing your complicity and helplessness to try and stop the bloody deeds of Congress. And that no matter who's in office, America preserves its foreign interests by whatever means its greed demands, however monstrous. You see, we'll always need a place to drain our contras. And Biden's got a backup plan should harm befall the Holy Land. Wipe it off the map, he'll draw it back on with an iron hand. He demands an Israel or reasonable effigy to exercise democracy and colonize the Middle East. Regardless of the human cost of phosphorus atrocities, bought and paid with money they rerouted out the budget for the non-essential things like ever making Flint's water clean. So maybe what hits hardest is the day you see this country for its actual priorities, and nevermore no honest peace attempting sleep. Maybe then you'll look at politicians making speeches like a blood-encrusted beast espousing destiny to empty seats and fellow leeches. As the gauntlet of democracy extends its brutal reach, like a giant wave of trash come to crash on foreign beaches. Maybe build a base, throw a flag down, and heavily pollute the region. Rape your ecosystems, gut your fauna, and congratulate you on your new allegiance. Oops, we mean alliance. This is something mutual unless you're non-compliant. We stole something crucial on which you can be reliant. So maybe what hits hardest is the centrists saying both sides need to stop the violence. And those would be the very same centrists saying we should all accept police brutality, who hem and haw and clutch their fucking pearls and spend their time condemning riots. But very soon will come the day the centrists all get censored like the rest of us, and pious as they'll try to be, they won't stay quiet. But they'll just end up shouting in the void that they were also quick to render us subscribers. And it will be too late to light the fires. So far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Which is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. And call it foreign interests or American desires. This is why your checks weren't all $600 higher. Far away tonight, they burn the spires of a region set ablaze for which you've paid for every pyre. Call it foreign interests or American desires.